Hey guys, thanks for stopping by for another video here at All I See Is W, where we talk about stocks, Bitcoin, and finance. Now, if you're new to this channel, I would really appreciate you smashing the like, subscribing for more related content. In today's video, I wanted to cover a Bitcoin mining company that's Marathon Digital, ticker MARA. We've seen Bitcoin go up to about the close to the $100,000 range during the Christmas timeframe, and today it dropped off a bit, now hovering at 95,000. Most of you are wondering why is Bitcoin miners as well as Mara, why are the Bitcoin prices going down right now? And is there going to be continued sell-off? I mean, just with the recent market, we've seen miners underperform significantly. And Marathon Digital, when you look at the last couple weeks of trading, they've been like the biggest loser. Now, most of you are wondering, is now the time to sell or buy? I definitely do think that just based on the technicals, we'll cover that as well. Mara is definitely undervalued. It's retested that $30 range through like four times if you scale back for the entire year. But I definitely do think that just with so much sentiment going on right now, even though we see that lagging trajectory with the miners, Marathon Digital will soon start catapulting up. So let's take a look at the overall technicals here, as well as details I wanted to share with you on fundamental updates. So first, we just want to talk about the overall Bitcoin price prediction. So in Coinpedia, as of 2025, once Donald Trump gets inaugurated January 20th, there's going to be so much market sentiment going on. And I do think that with the increase in demand in AI, Bitcoin, of course, today we saw so many AI related stocks doing so well, such as Soon, Rum, Phoneware. All of these AI companies are doing so well, but most of us are wondering why is it that the Bitcoin miners, as well as Bitcoin stocks, including MSTR, why is it continuing to go down? I do think that in the beginning of the year 2025, heading into the new year, we're going to see a lot of bullish sentiments going on here. More countries such as the US, China, UK, El Salvador, Ukraine, they have a Bitcoin reserve of 470,000 Bitcoins worth billions of dollars. And now there's more countries getting involved. Game theory is kicking in. We know Bitcoin, you can't produce more or engineer more Bitcoin. It's not like money where you can just continue printing money, but I do think that there's going to be a paradigm shift. Bitcoin might just take over a lot of the different commodities, devaluing like gold commodity as well as even the US dollar. So all of that's going to come into play to see what commodity has the most or the biggest bang for your buck. And I do think that Bitcoin will shine as we head into the upcoming years here. But just with so many companies getting involved, it's expected to gain traction during the upcoming time. And Bitcoin here, according to this article, is that it's expected to create a high of 169,000. If things go south, then we may see some, support levels being established at like 85,000 correction. But that being said, the average Bitcoin price projection for 2025 will potentially be around the 127,000 with a potential high of 169,000. So over the long-term course, when you look at it through the lens of like how will it look in the upcoming years up through 2030, we see potential averages here of 152,000, 189,000, 261,000, 330,000, 424,000, with potential high by 2030 of 610,000. So Bitcoin will continue to climb because game theory is real. It's here. Countries are loading up the boat. And for those reasons, I think that companies like Mara, including miners, will capitalize, even though we didn't see that. Mara, especially looking at the technicals here, we've seen Mara underperform, but just going back to the resistance point 2024, February of this year, we saw that retest. It got up to about like $34 here. Um, just scaling back here, even December timeframe of last year, $31. So this line here, it just shows what Mara was able to test in terms of its share price. So we see that in 2023, about a year ago. We saw that this year, February timeframe, July timeframe, it got up to about $27. And just recently, it retested November timeframe of like $31. Just looking at it through the lens of this higher highs, okay? So we see higher lows here, which is in teal. I have that in teal color circled, and in green circles here, you see higher highs being established at the resistance point here. But I think that the fact that we've been just seeing that bleed out from like November timeframe through now, I'm anticipating that we're just going to continue seeing that higher lows established, and we're going to see that large green candlesticks be established, similar to what we've seen, back in December 2023 timeframe. You see here, January of this year. It was in the red zone, which we're seeing established early on in December. But I think that we're going to see that similar pattern here that we saw back in the year January timeframe when it just catapulted up from like $15 up to about that $33. So I'm anticipating that come next year, we're gonna see that retest of like minimum $30 range, just getting through that test resistance here. So I'm forecasting we're gonna see that $30 range come January. So current price, I definitely do think that Mara is undervalued. You capitalize on a $19 per share right now, and once January kicks in, when Trump gets inaugurated, we see that huge gain. That's like $11 increase from the current price. So that shows the amount of rise in the share price for Mara. So I wanted to just go through this article here in that Mara, as we saw in the recent weeks, it's been one of the biggest losers. But in this game, what goes down will eventually just pop back up. And because we have the president who is an advocate for Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners, we're going to hear a lot more about your strategic Bitcoin reserve and how does that apply to North American based miners. I think there's going to be a lot of government incentive, and companies like Mara will take advantage of that. I mean, just with Mara, they saw their share price dive by like 16.5% in the last 5 days of trading, just with Wednesday closing at $20. Today we see it at $19. I definitely do think that it's a steal. Overall, Mara ranks, number two as the biggest loser. We do see, AI related stocks doing much better, but I think that even though we see the underperformance here with Mara, I wouldn't rule them out. They are the top number one hodler right now, with the MSTR playbook that they capitalize on now at like 44,000 Bitcoins. But just wanted to just go through some highlights with Mara's updates here. They're unlocking new opportunities. It's going to be a big year for Mara. They become more than just Bitcoin miners. I mean, they're the global leaders in energy, infrastructure, renewable energy. They received Energy Council Technology Company of the Year award. They got through their 50 exahash milestone a couple weeks ago. They increased their megawatt capacity to 3x to now over 2 gigawatts. And let's say if they potentially get into the AI cloud-based sector, there's going to be a lot of clients that would want to tap into that energy capacity, especially in the suburban, popular cities. They've acquired 7 new mining sites. They increased an own operated mining portfolio to 65% mine and purchase Bitcoin using that $2 billion loan with 0% interest. They also deployed near zero cost energy strategy. They acquired wind farm in Texas to reduce grid congestion and extend the life of miners. They've captured stranded and flare gas from oil fields to mining operations. They also recycled and sold heat to warm 80,000 homes in Finland, subsidizing mining. So just showing that eco-friendly initiative to really tap into adding value from an environmental and also a value standpoint with the shareholders. Their overall capital strategy is through discipline, one of the highest returns on capital employed in the sector, the lowest amount of capital invested with lowest dilution, 50% of the capital raised from non-ATM sources. They also have new technologies launched, commercial launch, and first sales of two-phase immersion cooling system that they have with their miner fleets, and a multi-chain layer 2 network with a direct Bitcoin transaction submission tool, increasing earnings from transaction fees. And all of this would just be attributed to their team, where they've grown their team from like 56 to 152 members. So overall, all in all, I do think that there's more to come with Mara, especially tapping into completing that 50 exahash that was announced. I do think that that's just going to be huge potential heading into the new year, especially when we get more updates on the US Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. Just going through some updates back in December where Mara announced their overall Bitcoin production. This was like a huge milestone that they accomplished where they were able to mine an increase month over month of like 26% mining 907 bitcoins here with that energized hash rate up to 46 exahash. But we know that they've already increased their exahash. So it'll be interesting to see in the next week what their overall monthly volume is when it comes to bitcoins mined for the month of December. I think that is going to be huge with the number and just with their overall hodl, they're gonna get close to about 45,000 bitcoins, which is like a little over 10% of what MSTR has. So I think from a share price standpoint, I have this arrow bounce back up here. It's going to retest that, from a near term January. It's going to get back up to that $30. But I think from 2025 perspective, we can see Mara get beyond that $50 range. Just zooming out here, we saw the potential of Mara. Granted, yes, there was less shares here, but it reached up to about $85 during the last Bitcoin cycle of 2021. It's been, 4 years now, and I do think that we're going to see that pop back up. But we saw significant underperformance, lots of volatility in 2024. But I think that we're going to start seeing that upward trajectory here as we scale out, looking at this from a zoomed out perspective. So I do think that Mara has that potential to break out, and 2025 is going to be a great year for the miners, including Mara, as a number one Bitcoin miner here. So there you have it. I hope that this video is valuable. I'd love to hear what your comments and questions are, and please make sure to subscribe to All I See Is W for more related content. Thanks, guys.